This is David Naughton, and you're watching the Son of Celluloid show.
Son of Celluloid!
How's it going, everybody? Nathan Hamilton, Son of Celluloid, still here at Days of the Dead, and I'm talking to Mr. David Naughton. How's it going?
Good, thanks.
Now, at the beginning of your career, the I'm a Pepper commercial, what was Popeye like on set? Was he a diva? Did he give you any, advice that early in your career?
No, it was, those are difficult to shoot from a standpoint of, live action. We're performing, and then we're leaving room for what the animator is going to put in later. So, John, gee, I almost had a photo op. Hey, John.
I'll be over there later.
Yeah, so it's just, you try to get everybody that's in the shot to be looking at the same place and dance away. So he was cooperative.
Cool. Now, the movie you're, of course, best known for is American Werewolf in London. I'm sure you have answered the what was the makeup like question a million times. So instead, I'm going to ask, when you're in a chair for that many hours, where do you go in your mind to make that tolerable? Do you do like a Zen thing? You're cracking jokes with people? How do you make that livable?
You do a little bit of everything because you're in there for the bulk of the day. It's an early morning call, and when Rick Baker's doing your makeup, it's going to be you're going to be sitting there a while, as we did for this movie.
What was it like working with Rick? I mean, he's a legend.
Well, he was unknown at the time, so we were going like, who is this quiet, soft-spoken guy, very unassuming, with these crazy ideas, and he had this glint in his eye, like, "Oh, we're going to put you through your paces," and he did.
Now, I've heard the British crew didn't quite know what to make of John Landis.
No, well, nobody does. When you first meet him, he's an off-the-wall guy. High energy, very funny, real quick-witted, and so his energy level and volume level is up. So British crews clearly had no idea how to deal with him, and it took them a while to realize that he's not angry. He's not just a little bit out of his mind.
Right. Now, speaking of effects guys, Steel and Lace, directed by an effects guy. How do effects guys translate into directors?
Well, I think they are probably better in the editing room, although they certainly understand actors, and there was a lot of, free wielding on that particular movie. So, overall, I think that they're very good.
Now, another interesting director you worked with was Paul Norman on Ice Cream Man.
Oh.
I was like, his actually one non-adult film he made. What was working with him like?
Well, it was funny because there are a number of people that do cameos on that movie. Mm-hmm. And really the only time I got to work with anybody was just with Clint Howard in the beginning of that. But the other people that are listed on the cast list, you never see. It's sort of like working on a big TV project.
Speaking of TV, a movie you were in, Body Bags. It was originally envisioned as a TV series and kind of got made into a movie. When you did yours, did you think you were working on a series or a movie? Had it already happened?
Well, it was sort of a trilogy in the sense that John Carpenter was doing one part of it, the Body Bags, so I never really knew that it was considered as a television release. But it was, fun. I mean, it's great to work with him. He's a consummate professional, and I enjoyed him and Robert Carradine.
Now, going on the whole director's through line, do you have any wisdom as to why Harry Penderecki doesn't do conventions anymore?
Well, I'm not sure people know who Harry Penderecki is, but if I hold this up, this is a Brutal Massacre little flyer.
Which is an amazing movie.
It's pretty fun, Stephen Mena wrote and directed it, did it for a shoestring budget, what would be considered a low-budget horror film, but it's a comedy, and I had a lot of fun doing it, even though it was 20 below in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Right. Yeah, some people like Ken Foree and Gunnar Hansen on there, like being funny when they're not usually being scary in movies. What was the atmosphere? Were they hamming it up, or were they kind of out of their element? It
was really clearly a terrific part for Gunnar. Who knew that he could play sort of a demented and very underplayed, very subtle performance. And one of his best performances, I'm sure he would agree, that it was an opportunity for audiences to see him in a completely different light.
Now, how did your appearance on Holliston come about?
Just they had called me, or they had called my agents the normal way, but they had also sent me a link to a movie that they had done of basically a takeoff on American Werewolf, where they were the two boys backpacking, and they did a comedy riff for like a 15-minute short, which people can still see. So I thought it was so clever. I said, I got to work with these guys.
Who was the bath salts hookup on set?
Gee, I'm trying to think. I'm not sure, but what was fun about it is showing up on the set and then having them just go, "Here's what we want to do," and you go, "Okay, let's go for it." So you got to keep an open mind.
Yeah. Now you've of course had a long and very successful career. What do you think is a movie that possibly doesn't get the attention that Werewolf or some of the other movies we've been talking about gets, but you think is kind of an underrated gem in your filmography?
Well, I think we talked about Brutal Massacre, which I think is probably falls into that category of sort of unappreciated in the sense that I don't think it got a real fair shake when it came time for distribution.
Yeah. All right, well, I'd like to thank you very much for sitting here talking to me. And stick around here on the Son of Celluloid YouTube channel for more interviews from Days of the Dead.